see where that goes. All right, so we are getting reports now of problems for President Obama's health care law rollout. In the last couple of months, it has been just sort of one headline after another with these. Look at this, including a story on May the 2nd about part-time workers and how they could get their hours cut so that their employers wouldn't have to cover their health insurance, and that would mean less money for them, of course, and then they would also lose out on health insurance at work, so that's a double whammy. Then this headline on June 13th. The Associated Press noted that the president's health care law may turn out to be unaffordable for many low-wage workers. And just over a week later, the AP reported that getting FaceTime with a family doctor could become harder because there's going to be lots of new people who have health insurance and they'll gain coverage, and that could make it tougher to see your family doctor. And then in just the last week, we saw the big news on how the administration would delay part of this plan until 2015, so that the growing pains are the big question here, and whether or not this is signs of a more serious intrinsic problem with this rollout, and whether or not it's going to happen and when. Leslie Marshall joins us, syndicated radio talk show host and a Fox News contributor, and Chris Plant, host of The Chris Plant Show. Hello there. Welcome to both of you.
Hey, Martha. Hi.
You know,
hi.
Leslie, let's start with you, because I'm imagining that you're going to be on the side of growing pains. This is no big deal, right?
Oh, where's that crystal ball of yours? Yes, I do think it's growing pains. You know, I was just looking into some of the past federal programs that we've had, Social Security, Medicare. By the way, do you know that Medicare is still tweaking and has been tweaking pretty much every year since its inception? So this, for something that's entirely new and on a scale this large, this has nothing to do with politics. This has to do with, okay, we passed a law, now how are we going to implement it? And it's not just the Affordable Care Act and not just social programs that we see this with when we have something on a national level.
Yeah, that famous Nancy Pelosi quote that wait till you find out what's in it. It's going to be so good. You're going to be so happy. Chris, are people happy? Doesn't sound that way, looking at these newspaper headlines.
I can't find anybody that's happy at this point. I mean, I think 26-year-olds that are still having their health care paid for by their parents, maybe that's a big one for the Democrats. Look, this is a cacophonous calamity, and it's crashing to the ground. They've taken the greatest health care system in the history of humankind and thrown it into a Cuisinart, and now they're taking the pieces and pulling them out one at a time and trying to convince us that this is good and that's good. It's a calamity. And Nancy Pelosi saying we've got to vote for the bill to find out what's in it. Well, we're finding out what's in it. And what's in it is causing no end to horror. I mean, this is a clown car of horrors, and some of us knew it all along. 2,400 pages that no one ever read, that they've foisted upon us. They've added 18,000 pages of regulation. It's going to lead to mayhem in the workplace, with employers pushing the employer mandate off, which is one of the cornerstones. It doesn't work without it. And the Democrats are just going to assure us that this is no problem. Pay no attention to the bonfire going on behind the curtain, because everything's going to turn out fine, as it always does with great government programs that take over a sixth of the economy.
Well, yeah, because we've seen so many of those in the past.
Right.
Leslie, you wonder how the president really thinks about this, because he was criticized at the time for kind of turning over the writing of this legislation to Congress, to not having enough of a role in figuring out how it was going to work. You know, this is his baby, his crowning achievement, and it looks really, it says Rocky Road on the bottom of our screen right now. That's a pretty nice characterization. This thing is hitting some huge bumps in the road.
Well, no question. However, you could put all of this together, throw it out by October 1st, and then it would be disastrous in that form.
Yeah, but that's not what we were hearing when all of this rolled out, Leslie. Let me just go. I mean, this was presented as the greatest thing since sliced bread, a huge achievement. You remember Joe Biden came out and said it was a, great deal, right, for the American people. So why is it now that, Kathleen Sebelius and Baucus and all these people who were involved in it are now scratching their heads and going, this is tough. I mean, we can't get our arms around this thing. That is not how this was presented at all, right, Chris?
No, and look, Senator Baucus, Democrat, Montana, one of the leading authors, to the extent that this thing has any authors that will lay claim to it. Senator Baucus is the one who said that this thing is a train wreck. He sees a train wreck coming. Everybody recognizes the way this was done under cover of night and behind closed doors, changing the locks to keep the Republicans out, ignoring the will of the American people, inventing crises as distractions. This thing has been a sham, a nightmare from the beginning. And now that we're beginning to see it rolled out piece after piece, and they you know.
Yeah, we've got a minute left. But Leslie, so you listen to all that and you're shaking your head. What do you?
Yeah.
What do you feel good about, I guess, is the question. You know, what you think everybody should hang in there and it's all going to be okay. Tell us why.
I feel that way strongly, being married to a physician, because we have a problem with people rushing into emergency rooms when we're in a critical mass crisis with health care for individuals and for families. We need to have prevention. We need these people to be able to have annual checkups, and we need them to be insured to have that. I am very confident this plant, we will not be having this type of discussion in a year and certainly 5 years from now, and I'm not surprised that a program of this size, regardless of who put it forth, Democrat or Republican, would have these types of bumps in the road at the onset and need to have the program tweaked, and we're going to see it tweaked over.
I think we should hope you're right and that Chris is wrong. We'll revisit. I know we're going to revisit in between, but a year from now, I think it'll be interesting to see where we are next summer on this whole thing. Chris, thank you. Leslie, thank you.
Thanks, Martha.
We'll see you guys next time.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right.